This is the Kindie Rockstars Podcast, Season 6. Bringing you incredibly talented singers, artists, creators, and producers in the genre of children's music. I'm your host, Patrick Adams. Each episode will feature songs, album features, or video features, and great stories from the artists themselves. Kindie Rockstars Season 6 is proud to be supported and sponsored by Waldmania Public Relations, serving the family entertainment community for over 20 years, and Debbie Derryberry Kids. Debbie Derryberry, one of Hollywood's most active and sought-after voiceover artists, is best known for voicing Jimmy Neutron in the Academy Award-nominated film Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, and Draculaura in Monster High. A lifetime musician and songwriter, Debbie has written and recorded 4 award-winning preschool music albums. Her song Baby Banana hit #1 on Sirius XM Kid. Her song, written with Grammy-winning artist Lisa Loeb, called The Compost Bin, has won a Napa Award. Her latest album, Gotta Go Green, also a Napa winner, is all about giving kids tangible ways to save the earth through recycling, composting, reducing carbon footprint, and more. Her YouTube channel, Debbie Derryberry Kids, combines her love of cartoons and music with delightful animated videos of her songs. Children listen as well as watch, so a visual component is so important. Kindie Rockstars thanks you so much for your support, and now, on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kindie Rockstars, and I am delighted to have back on the show Mark Pagano, better known to all of us as Marko Polo. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we had you on in season 4 talking about the album Aquaphonic. You've got a new album out now called Tree Sounds. But before we get into the album and some featured songs, what have you been up to since the last time we talked?
Well, yeah, so many things. It's summertime here in St. Louis. I'm just playing the libraries, which I love. So traveling around a little bit in Missouri and Illinois mostly. But yeah, I've been working on this album for it's almost 2 years. Kind of started writing for it right after Aquaphonic came out. I got a grant from a regional arts commission to do the to do the writing and the recording with Dean Jones up in upstate. So that was a great experience, and worked with him on a couple other projects. Mammal Music and Aquaphonic. Both of those were done mostly remotely because of the pandemic and stuff. But this one we got to work in studio almost the whole thing. We did some stuff sending back and forth, but we got to spend a good couple of days out there in the studio. So I was really pleased with how it kind of came together. And yeah, it's been just a process of learning, and got to do some cool collaborations and um, writing, and it was fun theme to explore. So I've been just living with the trees.
All right. Well, that's a good segue into talking about the album itself. So, Tree Sounds is the name of the album. So, kind of what was your inspiration to kind of go with this theme this time? And yeah, talk about the making of the album as a whole.
Yeah, so I work also as an educator, and I'm still kind of reflecting on time during the pandemic. I'm living next to a beautiful urban park here, Tower Grove Park in St. Louis. It's like the park across the street, and it actually has the most tree diversity of any city park in the country. So it's a really unique place, and also just a sanctuary for people in the city here. And as I was working as an educator, I was doing some workshops with the young audiences as a national group. We were exploring social emotional learning techniques, and kind of talking a bit about, just the health benefits of spending time in nature. And I thought that would be a great theme for an album, uh, exploring trees. I was also kind of reflecting on some of the first Kindie albums that I heard. In 2015, when I met Dean Jones at KindieCom, there was Molly Ledford and Billy Kelly had put out an album called Trees. And so this is kind of like 10 years later, I kind of put my own spin on made my own tree record, but I loved that record and I loved the I loved the theme of it. Um and I thought this would be a really fun thing to explore. And I just spent so much time in the park with my kids while they were young. They're a little bit older now, 11 and 7. We still go, but when they're little, then that
Yeah.
that kind of childlike wonder, climbing trees and collecting leaves, and it's such a beautiful experience. So I kind of wanted to try to capture some of that in songs and melodies, and I,
Very cool. It sounds like a great theme for an album. Um, so let's get into some of the songs we're gonna feature and play. And you just talked about going to the park, so let's kick it off with that one, In the Park. So what inspired you on this one?
yeah. So this is really about the park across the street, and my kids and I would go to the park. We'd climb these trees, explore the park, and we'd come up with little nicknames for all the trees. So that's kind of what the song is about. It uses some of the names of the trees that we discovered and kind of have our little pet names for the wisdom tree, the tree with many faces, the Jupiter trees, and the love tree. And then it kind of invites the listener to, you know, do that in their park. And it's been really fun. I've just been kind of integrating that song into my shows. And one thing I do is have this interactive part where I'm like, okay, now everybody's gonna come up with your tree. What kind of tree is in your park? And kids are just shouting things out, like hot dog tree, candy tree. And then, like, some adult will always be like, let's get a money tree in there.
There you go.
So, so it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's just a fun upbeat, high energy song. But yeah, it's about the park across the street.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's check this one out. Here it is, In the Park by Marco Polo.
In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. There's a rocket tree, a wish tree, a fairy tree, a love tree, a line of Jupiter trees, all in the grove. So many trees that you could name. You could make a little game, unlock your imagination and let it flow. In the park, 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 in the park. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. There's 3 weeping willows and 2 dogwoods barking. 1 white, 1 pink. I once heard them talking. A belly tree, a wisdom tree, a tree with many faces. The park across the street is one of my favorite places. In the park, 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 in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park, in the park across the street. In the park, in the park, in the park across the street.
And that was In the Park All right, next song we're going to talk about is called Evergreen. Tell us about this one.
Evergreen. Yeah, this is I think it's a really beautiful song. It features guest vocalist Molly Ledford, who I was talking about had this album out called Trees that she did with Dean Jones about 10 years ago. Um, and it was, I was working on this song. I had some parts to it. I thought had something to it. And it was one of these songs that I brought to Dean. And I was like, I don't know, really know. Like, I'm not sure if this fits or if I can, you know, execute it. And I sang it, and he said, what do you think about a guest vocalist? And he suggested Molly Ledford, and I thought, oh, that's just really, really like full circle moment, kind of really appropriate to have her as a guest on the record, kind of 10 years later. And so I just love what she did with it. She has such a cool voice and such a cool approach to it. And it has all that kind of um mystery to it. I think, like, to her voice, and the keyboard part that Dean came up with, it just kind of created a really kind of cinematic scene. um Evergreen, yeah, I thought it turned out really nice, and it was cool to have the guest vocal.
Did she know how much she inspired this album?
She did. After, I reached out to her, and I was really hoping she'd want to do it, so I was pouring it on pretty thick. But I loved her early records with Lunch Money and all that. She hasn't really put out a lot of music in recent years. She's working as a librarian now, which I think is so cool. But yeah, I think it's a cool, like, reminder to musicians too, just like um you don't know what your music is inspiring out there.
Hmm.
Like, you plant these seeds, you throw things out into the world, and sometimes they inspire more things. So I was just really pleased that it kind of all worked out that way.
All right, let's check this song out now. Here it is, Evergreen, featuring Molly Ledford by Marko Polo.
Of the evergreen, the fineness of the needles, of all the colors that eyes have seen, it's evergreen. A range of wavelengths of light, phosphorescent twilight. It may be muted, it may be bright, it's evergreen, 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 green, evergreen. Oh, the conifers are self-renewing, they're enduring. The spruce and the pines, perennial designs, it's enduring. Oh, the conifers are self-renewing, it's enduring. The spruce and the pines, perennial designs, it's enduring. Forever.
And that was Evergreen. All right. I Was a Tree. That's the next song. Tell us about this one.
So I Was a Tree. It was inspired by a book that I was reading to my kids called The Silver Arrow by Lev Grossman. And this book was referred to me by Polly Hall, who's one of the collaborators on a couple songs on the album. Um, Andrew and Polly. Uh, I know Polly from way back. We have a mutual friend, a friend that I went to college with that she was a childhood friend of hers. So we connected through that. And I was telling her about this was early on in writing for the project. I was telling her I was writing this song about trees or this album about trees. She recommended this book, The Silver Arrow, and there's one chapter in particular that kind of sets this scene where these kids are on this magical train and they get out at this stop and then they turn into trees. Their feet root into the earth and branches grow out of their heads and they have this like really profound transformative experience. And I kind of just latched onto that and took the whole concept and just kind of made it into a song and wanted it to be really dreamy. So it has like there's a lot of kind of dreamy qualities to the production on it with the little like slinky guitar parts and the kind of pan flute part that Dean put in there. And it's, I really wanted to have a song that tells a story. There's these story songs that I think are so, meaningful for kids, and we learn through stories. So it was a good challenge to kind of distill that chapter in the book into a 3-minute song.
Did they ever change back from a tree into a person?
Yeah, they do. So they come back and, like they have this whole experience where that seems like it lasts like a whole year where they have, they lose their leaves, they have the rainy season, the leaves come back and all this but it comes back and they didn't actually lose any time at all, but they come back with this very profound memory and like it just it inspires them to be more thoughtful about how they interact with their environment. And I'm trying to remember exactly how the chapter ends, but there's something about a bundle of wood that's like left at their feet, and they're like, okay, well, they're powering the train with the wood. So it's like this whole, that's kind of one of the themes of the book is this really just being thoughtful about our environment. And so they have this, it's kind of the pinnacle moment in the book where they have this transformative experience.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna play the song now. Here it is, I Was a Tree by Marko Polo.
I had a dream. I was a tree. I was not sleeping. It was not that kind of dream. My toes grew right through my shoes, turning into roots. I felt branches shoot out from my ears. It was so weird. I was a tree. Rooting in the earth with the microorganisms. Stillness never felt so free. never drank. I was a tree rooting in the earth with the microorganisms. Stillness never felt so free. When I was a tree, the thrill of growing up while growing down, the radiance captured in the crown, solar energy crystallized. What a feeling to photosynthesize. I was a tree. I was a tree. I was a tree.
And that was I Was a Tree. All right. Last song here in our song feature is called Leaves. Tell us about this one.
So Leaves, I I wrote a grant to fund the album, and part of the grant was that I was going to do a couple community engagement pieces. I did a show where I was inviting people to, you know, give me suggestions for songs they wanted to hear on the record, and it was fall, and we're in the park, and then everyone's like leaves, leaves, leaves. So everybody wanted a song about leaves. Made sense. And so that was kind of like, I was like, I gotta have a leave song. One day my son was taking violin, he came in and he's just plucking the four strings like bum 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 bum, just open strings. And that kind of became the bass line. I was just like, I just heard it and I was like, this is something. Well, so I had like a bass. I had the bass line. I had that like kind of hook about the leaves, and I had a couple other little hook parts, but I didn't have any vocals or any verses or anything. But I'd been talking to Andrew and Polly about collaborating on a couple songs, and I thought, well, this would be a great opportunity to just plug them in. We had a couple writing sessions for this one and plant a tree. And we met on Zoom, and it was just a really cool process because I've never done a true co-write that way where we were like really all in on like every word, every line of the verses, and I really appreciated their approach. It was like just very thorough and thoughtful and challenging, challenged us to get to the best possible lyric. Um, and I just loved the creativity they added to it. So it became just kind of this fall anthem, and it was cool because the song was we already had already produced it. It had like all the pieces there. We had recorded it and everything, and I never really approached a song that way either, where it was like, okay, we've got these hooks, but now we need to write afterwards. But it was just kind of a different way to put all the pieces together. But so that's kind of the story behind the song Leaves. I think it turned out really fun, and it's just an autumn jam.
All right. We're going to play it now for everybody. Here it is, Leaves, featuring Andrew and Polly by Marko Polo.
Leaves, flying everywhere, where, floating to the ground. You can hear them crunch, crunch. Leaves, flying everywhere, where, floating to the ground. You can hear them crunch. Because it's fall now. Because it's fall now. Fall. Because it's fall everywhere, where, floating to the ground, ground. You can hear them crunch, crunch, crunch. Leaves, 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 flying everywhere, where, floating to the ground, ground. You can hear them crunch, crunch, crunch. Because it's fall now, fall now. Because it's fall now, fall. Because it's fall now, fall now. Running out of daylight, but we still got time. Chlorophyll low, but spirits high. Shh, shh, all around. The coziest blanket to warm up the ground. Nourishing invisible worlds below. Shadows dancing, filled to glow. Gathering treasures and planning for spring. Ready for winter and everything. Because it's fall now. Because it's fall now. Fall. Because it's fall now.
And that was Leaves. All right. Well, that wraps up our song features. The album is called Tree Sounds. And I understand this album is already out. Marco Polo, tell everybody where they can find this album to stream, download, or purchase, and how they can find and connect with you.
Yeah, it released on Arbor Day a couple months ago, and it's available on all the streaming sites, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube, Bandcamp, Marco with the K, Marco Polo. You can, find it on my website, marcopolomusic.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at Marco_Polo_music or Facebook. It's all the same.
All right. And what is the next big thing coming up for Marco Polo?
Well, I'm really excited about taking a road trip this summer with my family up to the Northeast. But we're gonna stop in on Dean in at his studio in upstate, and I've got a little single I'm working on. It's called Interspecies Communication. But I'm really excited because I'm gonna bring my son into the studio. He's just turned 11. He's been playing drums for some years, and he's getting really pretty good. So I'm gonna bring him into the studio for the first time and have him be my drummer on the track. So it'll be a really cool, just fun experience to get him into the studio.
That is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
getting the kids involved. My daughter Lyric, she loves being a part of it. So she's our music video star and starting to
it
add some more vocals as she gets better. And she's got it in
is
her, I
definitely
can tell.
definitely one of the fun things about being a kindie artist is you get the family band.
Yep.
You can do it all together, so it's cool.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show and hearing about your latest project. And I wish you all the luck and success with this album. And it's been great catching up. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care.